We're back now. One of the great kicks of doing the Tonight Show is the chance to present some new talent. And I'm glad you're in a crazy mood tonight, because this is a young man that we discovered at one of our regularly scheduled auditions. This is his first appearance on television. He's very clever, somewhat warped. Which is, if you're going to do comedy, you should be a little bit warped, I think. Would you welcome for the first time on the Tonight Show, Mr. David Brenner. David?
Warped. I saw something interesting the other day. I was driving in New Jersey, and I got lost, and I always get lost in New Jersey. That whole state looks the same to me. Well, I think they have 7 people and 9 trees, and they keep moving it down the road.
I'm Cognac Wellerlane, and we are here at the Bay Street Theater. And I'm here with comedian Mr. David. First time appearing at the theater?
No, I was here last July. And I just want to comment on that. Anyone who saw me last year and is a fan, and they're not coming this year because they say, oh, well, we saw him last July, I'm doing an entirely new show. So
how does a kid find comedy in a crime-ridden town?
I think, actually, it's harder to find comedy in an easygoing, suburban, peaceful, non-criminal town. That's why there are very few Protestant comedians. It's all Jews, Italians, blacks, Hispanics. It's the guys who grew up rough. Because the Protestants, what are they going to joke about? Like, geez, you know, this tooth bothered me a little. I mean, what do they have to talk about? I don't know what Protestants talk about anyway in life. So I actually started out as a writer, producer, director of documentaries for television. And then I went into comedy just as a lark. It's now a 40-year lark. This is one of the longest lasting larks in the world. And I just started hanging around comedy clubs, and I went on the Tonight Show.
That's how you got your big break with Johnny Carson, right?
Yeah, I went on the Tonight Show, and I was going to quit the next day doing comedy because I only wanted to do it a little over a year. And I only had $3 in my name. And I went on the show, and by the end of that next day, that working day, I had $10,000 worth of job offers.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I was on my way. I got it. Buddy Hackett saw me. I didn't know. He saw me, put me on the stage at the Congo Room in Sahara Hotel in Vegas with Sonny and Cher were the closing act. Frankie Avalon was the opening act. And then Robert Goulet's manager agent saw me. He put me in with Robert Goulet. That led to all the other stars. Carson invited me back the next week. The Ed Sullivan people saw me on the first Tonight Show. They got me on what turned out to be the last live Ed Sullivan show. All that from one appearance.
Just from that,
yeah.
I remember reading that about Johnny Carson. If you were on his show, that was it.
You had it made.
You were a star. Right after Johnny Carson,
right.
You were a star.
Yeah, well, first of all, you know, instead of like now, maybe 2-3 million people a night watch the Tonight Show or Letterman, then 11-13 million people watch the show. And besides that, all the people in show business who were anybody were watching the show. So if you scored a home run, you hit a home run that night, you hit it with the right people in the stands watching it clear the fence.
I remember watching you as a kid. I used to watch you. I used to love you. I thought you were hilarious. Hilarious.
I want to tell you something. If you were around when I was a kid, I would have watched you, too.
What was it like? What was Johnny Carson like?
Well, I'll tell you something interesting. I really didn't know John. I did 158 appearances. I didn't know him any better on number 158 than I did on the first one, except to tell you that he was generous, he was intelligent, he was kind, he supported you, and he was a remarkable man, but he had a little clique of friends. Stephen Eady, Gourmet.
Yes.
Just a little clique of friends, played tennis, they played cards, they went on a sailboat. Other than that, he was friendly. I bumped into him once, we had dinner together. Because I bumped into him. Come on, we had dinner together. Or I went to see him in Las Vegas, and I spent like 3 hours in the dressing room hanging out and kidding with him. But he would never call me, David, when are you coming into town? Let's hang out.
He wasn't that type of friend.
No, he wasn't that, you know, he was...
I heard a lot of stories about him. I heard that he even had like a dark side. He was the type of guy you just didn't cross. He would do you that favor. He would go that extra mile for you. He would help you out, but don't ever cross him.
Well, he was very mafioso in that way.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, because
I love you. You said mafioso. I'm Italian. Did you know I was Italian?
I knew you were Italian. Sure, I could tell. I grew up in South Philadelphia. I used to see you walking around, going by the luncheonette, making all the boys whistle. I
Saturdays.
remember with the mob when they had Las Vegas.
Oh, that was
worked-
unbelievable.
Oh, please, it was the best. I worked 20, 25 weeks a year for about 12 years for all the mob families and all the hotels. Every single one of those engagements was on a handshake. We negotiated it verbally. I want this, I want that. No, I
Now
want
it's
this.
all email, darling. It's all
No,
email.
now it's contracts like this
Yeah,
thick.
and emails too. Many, many emails.
Yeah, and they don't, and they violate it. Corporate America, like your agent will call and say, you know, you took David Brenner's billboard, you know, down in the airport. We have it in the contract. He's to have that for the run of the whole entire engagement. They say sue us.
And they don't care.
No, they don't care about anything. You know, the mob used to let us. They used to let us deal. So I get a call from Caesars. Now imagine you're just a lay person. You're on a vacation. You come from, you know, Chicago, Indiana, wherever it is. You go to Caesar's Palace, and dealing that night. I was dealing, but I was the young kid. I was dealing, and the other dealers were, and sitting there were like Diana Ross and Peter Lawford, and you know, and Shirley MacLaine and that caliber stars.
Oh, they all were there.
Right, they were all there, and I came over there with Cary Grant. We were friends, Cary Grant. And
Cary Grant
Yeah.
was friends with you?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
We
my
both
God.
like boxing and everything. He was wonderful. Anyway, so he was sitting there too.
You really like boxing? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a major boxing fan. So I'm dealing. The other dealers in the pit with me, and it's a small pit at Caesars then, were Sammy Davis Jr., Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra. Now, how would
Rat
you like to
Pack.
have that story to go home and say, you know, I was in Vegas last week. Guess who dealt me cards?
The Rat Pack.
Yeah, that's the way Vegas used to be. Now it's all corporate America. Everything has to make money. Gambling's only 25% of the revenue.
Broadway's like that too. Broadway's the same way
It's-
too.
well, it's the economy. It kills the business. You can't have people pay that
Movies, movies too. Movie, television, and Broadway is all corporate America. The
Mm-hmm.
real talent is off Broadway.
much. Oh, of course.
The real
And
talent is the independent films,
exactly.
right?
And yeah, exactly. And the real talent, you'll find someone working in a holiday house. Two things going. I have one. It's called OldJewReview.com.
Oh,
And
I
what-
love it! OldJewReview.com. I love it.
And what I review are video games. Now, I don't know how to play video games, but my sons are into it. So you got to
The
look
kids
it up.
know everything.
Yeah, but the kids, you know,
David,
yeah.
the kids know everything.
You got to
today.
check it out. I mean, you know, kids, check it out. I got 10,000 hits on it. One of them, you know, Old Jew Review. Maybe
Maybe you should get Joan Rivers to help you with that too.
Joan, good,
Joni, a friend of yours
Yeah,
too?
oh yeah, we went on the road 3.5 years together. It's the best time I ever had on the road.
She's a Gemini.
I don't know what she is.
She's a Gemini. She's the day after
No,
me.
I think after her
She's a
12th,
Gemini.
after her 12th facelift, she became a Ukraine.
And you've just done about everything. You're
Yeah.
an author, you're a writer, you're
Right.
a filmmaker,
I'm a farmer.
you're a comedian.
I'm a lover.
A lover too.
I'm a lover.
Tell my audience, out of
I eat
all
fruit
these
and
accomplishments,
vegetables. Yes.
fruits and vegetables,
Yeah,
the whole
yeah,
works,
yeah.
out of everything that you've done in your life, what are you the most proudest of? What is the one thing you want everyone to remember you by?
I spent 4.5 years in the Supreme Court of New York fighting for custody of my first son, and I won.
And you want people to remember that?
Yeah, because it's rare a man wins. Only 10% of men fight for it. Only 10% who do win. That means 1% of the children are living with their fathers. I fought, gave up everything. Gave up everything I owned, gave up my career, gave up everything. But
And you feel that that's like the biggest accomplishment of
yes,
your life?
That's the proudest moment I have.
Wow.
Because that's really, that's the
good
most
father.
difficult thing to do.
Yes.
No, it's a human being.
Yes.
It's a, you know, and that to me is the best. And then I had to fight for custody for the other two, but they're not in the Supreme Court. So this was a monumental.
Hilarious.
One. Thank you.
Tell my audience a little bit more about the Bay Street Theater. How long are you going to be performing?
Okay. How you doing, Tony? Okay. All right, the Bay Street Theater. I'm here Saturday, the 7th of August. I'm here for that one night, and that's it. I may come back. I was here last year. I may come back again next year if I have a new, 75 to 90 minutes. But they ought to come. I think people need laughs really bad.
We
really
need
bad
it
laughs.
right now. We need to laugh. Life is tough. Life is hard. And we need a good chuckle Right, guys? We need a good chuckle from David Brenner right here at the Bay Street Theater. It's so much fun interviewing you. You are a fabulous, fascinating man.
Well, thank you.
With so much knowledge that I'm sure my audience is going to really appreciate and really enjoy it.
Well, thanks.
Tell my audience one more time the website.
Okay, the website for here is baystreet.org.
And your website?
And my website is davidbrennersite.com. Who wouldn't give you a kiss?
We'll be back in a moment, darlings, with more interviews coming up.
Fallacy dressed to impress. One of a kind girl.
It's been a Crybaby Productions, darlings.